Hello, and we're back for part 4 of my MegaMetal cards. Picking up with Nuclear Assault where we left off. And I did like Nuclear Assault. I got their first couple tapes. Game Over in particular I remember being especially good. Not a band that I believe is still together, but I could be wrong on that. So many bands will disappear even for a decade or longer and then reform and come back. So like Angel, for example. Angel just put out a new album, if you can believe that one or not. The last Bluster Cult had a huge gap between them. I thought they were done and over with. But that last Bluster Cult, especially awesome. They got some of the heaviest work they ever did on that release. So if you haven't heard that one, be sure to check it out. But yeah, Nuclear Assault, they were part of my 80s metal days. Like I said, I'm pretty positive. I got at least the first two, but didn't follow them a whole lot after that. Everything changed for me in 1991. That was the year that I got a computer, Head Start computer even, that came with a CD drive and a CD sampler. Now, I had heard CDs, and I had held off. I had been one of the stubborn ones and stuck with cassette tapes. And yeah, in 91, it came with that sampler. Oh, here we got Michael Schenker Group, or is it Macaulay Schenker? Both of them get confused. I think this is Macaulay Schenker. Michael Schenker is the guitarist, and Macaulay was the singer. But you had MSG, Michael Schenker Group, and Macaulay Schenker Group. Easily to confuse. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying before, in 91 I started rebuying all the old stuff that I had. So new music, it was gone to me. I was reliving the past, and I spent years replacing cassette tapes on CDs. So that was the reason why a lot of these bands I didn't continue to follow them, and I lost track of them because I was going back and focusing on buying all the Zeppelins, buying all the Hendrix, buying all the Sabbath. I had to start all over and buy everything again from day one. We'll be moving on to Skid Row next, which is another band that had a really great first album, and decent second and third one. But get these backs in here for you here. But yeah, it did change the way I was listening to music. And like I said, I knew they sounded better. I had heard CDs. I really loved the fact that you could just pick a specific track, and even, tapes were a little bit of a drag for not being able to listen to the third song instantly. But it just wasn't worth the difference in the money to me. I wasn't making a huge amount of money back in those days. And cassettes, I could almost get 2 cassettes for 1 CD. But once the realization set in that that was the way things needed to go, then I did start over. And that's another reason why I didn't make that mistake with DVDs. As soon as I started seeing DVDs popping up in stores in my area, I switched over from VHS to DVD and was happy to do so. But there was a tremendous difference in those. I mean, we're talking putting on a VHS tape and then putting on a DVD. That was a real no-brainer, real quick and easy for people to see the difference and say, oh yeah, that's worth it. And they didn't have such a huge... well, maybe they did have a huge difference in price, but I was making a lot more money at that time, and it wasn't as critical an issue to me as it was back in the days that CDs came out and tried to take over for cassette tapes, and 8-tracks had died out not long after CDs come out, I believe. So I do believe CDs managed to kill off 8-tracks, but which, believe it or not, I'll admit, I even had a quadraphonic 8-track. I was a huge fan of the 8-tracks because I could listen to the entire release over and over and over without having to get up or do anything. And that mattered when I was younger. That mattered to me. And albums were cool. You can only hear one side over and over unless you had 2 copies, which would be kind of crazy to me to spend that kind of money. Alrighty, trying to get back to focus on what I'm doing here. I hope I showed you all those backs, because I was doing more talking and thinking about what I was saying than showing you the cars. They like Skid Row, man. They did a whole bunch of Skid Row cars, so we got a lot on them. And nothing wrong with that. They were a great band, and they were probably right at the height of their popularity when these MegaMetal cards came out. And that's the last Slaughter. I mean, last Skid Row before we move on to Slaughter. Another pop metal band, in my opinion. They had a few good songs. Nothing against them. I liked them. But there's a big difference between liking a band and loving a band. And, you know, I loved Iron Maiden. I liked Slaughter. That's just the way that goes. But I do love the hair metal from the 80s, and I like the resurgence. They're starting to see a lot of bands come out. The stoner rock I really liked a lot. A lot of great bands were doing that, but it seems like now they're getting more into the hair metal stuff. Getting like Crazy Licks, stuff that like Crazy Licks is doing is really cool in my opinion. So, still working on the Slaughter cards here. Excuse me. And it looked like Slaughter was really popular with this company because they got a lot of cards. What happened to that Dark Angel? They got one card. that's kind of funny. Kind of funny. Makes you wonder. Yeah, a lot of great music over the years. There were some other rock cards put out as well. I've got almost a complete set, but it really had everybody and everything in it. I mean, it had a lot of stuff that wasn't even rock, in my opinion, in that set. And it was a much larger set even. I do have it, but I don't have it all sleeved up. So if we were to look at it, I'd start out in sleeves and I'd have a stack of cards to flip through after that, or I could go buy some more sleeves. I haven't bought any sleeves in probably 12, 15 years or better, but that don't mean I can't. Don't really like the idea of reusing sleeves. I don't want to take cards out so that I can put other cards in just to show them off like this. You get a little more glare off this plastic too, but it does make it easy to control and manipulate the cards to film them this way. And I think we're going to call this one a little bit too tight to finish all of them up. I don't want to hurry. I don't want to rush through. I've done that in the past too. I start thinking I'm running out of time for my episode because I try to keep them to 10 to 12 minutes for various reasons. And this one we're going to end right there. We're going to call that good because I want to take my time on the fourth part and show you the card soft proper. So we'll be back with the wrap up.